Okay, today we're going to go through a series of short videos which outline the local pilot process learning from September 2020 to March 2021. This is the first of those videos. I'm just going to start by introducing a new analysis of the Sport England Active Lives data. This data was actually collected in 2018-2019, so it precedes the start of the local pilot in Greater Manchester. But our team have worked with Joe Crows at Manchester University, and he has been able to apply a new statistical technique to the data, which allows us to have a better estimate of activity levels at a lower social output area, which is populations of around 1,500 people or so. So what this new analysis shows is for each of those small population areas, the lower social output area, the proportion of active adults within that LSOA. And here we're defining active as doing at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week. The target that Greater Manchester has set itself is that at least 75% of adults are achieving that target. But we can see from this new analysis that is currently only met in a very small proportion of the boroughs and is represented by the very darkest of blue. So this new analysis really underscores the challenge ahead of Greater Manchester to achieve that target in the near future. And this video is being recorded at a time when we've experienced a year's worth of lockdown associated with the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated lowering of levels of activity, which we anticipate because of that. But this analysis also allows us to look more closely at physical activity levels and their association with inequality at a more granular level. So I'm just going to zoom in here on one of the boroughs of Greater Manchester, which is Bury. And we have this analysis for each of the boroughs of Greater Manchester. And I'm just here showing side by side the new analysis, but also analysis of Bury's lower social output areas according to the indices of mass deprivation. And these two maps are shaded in order to better illustrate the correlation where we see higher levels of inactivity, which are shaded in the red and the orange, and also in higher levels of deprivation, shaded in the red and the orange on the right-hand side. So illustrating these two maps side by side, you can see at a glance that there are similarities in the sense that where there are areas of deprivation, there are also the higher areas of inactivity. But we can also see that there is variation within this. So if I just highlight one area of the map, and this is an area called Radcliffe in Bury, and it's an area that the Bury local pilot are focusing some hyperlocal activity. You can see that there is deprivation and inactivity are linked together, but you can also highlight that one part of Radcliffe on the very left-hand side of that bubble is there are higher levels of inactivity compared to other parts of Radcliffe. And this may illustrate that there is an opportunity for some intensive work around that area. Happens to be the area around the primary school there. So what does this new analysis really tell us? Well, what it does is it underscores our understanding that inactivity is really linked to inequality, but it does lead us to think there are two interconnected and mostly complementary strategies that local pilot colleagues and GM moving, people associated with GM moving can take overall to tackle inactivity. And one is, as they are doing, taking a place-based action to promote physical activity, focus with populations that need. And that's illustrating that what can be done within the already bounded opportunities that people experience there because of structural disadvantage. And the other strategy, which is a long-term and more comprehensive strategy, which is to contribute to efforts in Greater Manchester to tackle inequalities in health, wellbeing and social justice. And whilst this might appear to be a grand ambition, of Greater Manchester Moving and colleagues, actually with the other activities going on in Greater Manchester at the moment, for example, public service reform, there is an appetite for such radical change. And so we're really interested in how Greater Manchester Moving can contribute to this.